the market just wants to figure out what probability they attach to this getting approved by the FDA. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, obviously, I can't predict the future, but based on all the data that we generated in China, as well as the fact that over 60,000 patients in China in real-world setting have already used this and have consistent profile with our, I would say, 4 phase 3 study, all successful phase 3 study with great efficacy and safety. I think the chances are pretty good. So, from everything that we've seen so far, we feel pretty good.
There are still some concerns among investors about some of the results that came out from this late-stage study here, reported by Summit, that it perhaps didn't provide enough definitive results that did meet FDA requirements. How do you begin to even address those concerns, or have you already?
Sure. I think some of the conversations, obviously, Summit has with the FDA. But from our perspective, if you actually look at the trend of the data that Summit has generated, it's been consistent with everything that we generated in China. So that's the first piece. I think the second piece, again, I think if you look at the data package holistically and the fact that we have multiple data generated that show consistent safety and efficacy from the Chinese data, and that actually telegraphs pretty well in the U.S. data. So overall, I think the Summit team has done a fantastic job in developing this product and addressing some of those concerns. But again, we're going to have to see how the FDA decides later this year.
Right. Some of your peers in the industry have also looked specifically at this area, and I wonder if and when, let's just say when, of course, to the point you're making, all the data points of this getting through, is differentiation even a concern for you at this point in time, or is the pool and potential large enough for everybody at this point?
Well, I mean, there are two separate questions. So the second part of the question, which is the pool is quite large, right? I think top-tier analysts have estimated this to be close to, $100 billion potentially, But from our perspective, it's hard for us to answer that question because between us and Summit, we actually have really successful phase 3 studies. We have 4 phase 3 studies that show consistent efficacy and safety across the board. The rest of the world combined have 0 phase 3 study. So it's hard for us to make that comparison because we actually have 4 versus 0 for the rest of the world. And the other point we want to highlight is that bispecific antibodies, which is a class of drug that we're working on, the differences between bispecifics hitting the same 2 targets are actually much greater than single target monoclonal antibodies. So while single target hitting PD-1, PD-1A versus PD-1B, the differences between bispecific is much greater than single target. So the fact that we went through and done 4 phase 3 study showing consistent efficacy and safety profile in basically thousands of patients, the burden of proof is on everybody else to hit that level of efficacy and safety. So right now it's hard for me to answer the question because there's really no real benchmark.
So it sounds like
I think
it sounds like you're pretty confident, right? Are you pretty confident?
You feel pretty good. I sleep very well.
So we'll maintain that lead, yeah. Bing-Wen, I was going to ask you about, obviously your main focus has been on cancer treatments, but certainly you also have diversified in other areas, right? Autoimmune diseases, for example, more recently Alzheimer's. Can you tell us a bit more of the rationale of going into these diseases in particular?
Yeah, great question. So I think over the past few years, we really established our, I would say, global leading capabilities in bispecific antibodies in immuno-oncology. So we took that capability and went into adjacent areas. So one of them is a class of drug called antibody-drug conjugates. So we actually have 2 of those in phase 1 study in Australia and China right now. One of those it's a bispecific antibody-drug conjugate hitting 2 targets, TROP2, Nectin-4, at the same time. So by hitting 2 targets in ADCs, you actually reduces the chance of tumor escape. So our goal is actually to combine that bispecific ADC with our bispecific IO agents to hit 4 targets with 2 drugs. Now, you mentioned other therapeutic areas outside of oncology. We also have a first-in-class immunology asset that hit a target called IL-4R and SC2 at the same time. again, we just want to give a broader spectrum of suppression of some of the drivers for immunological disease, such as COPD and asthma, and potentially atopic dermatitis at some point. But one of the most exciting announcement we had roughly about 2 months ago, to your point, is Alzheimer's. We're very excited by this. So we hit 2 targets. One is a beta amyloid. So as you may know, amyloid plaque is a big driver of Alzheimer's. But the issue with current beta amyloid antibodies is that it has trouble getting across the blood-brain barrier. So roughly 1% of the drug actually gets into the brain. So they have to give patients really high dose and cause a lot of side effects. So what we did is we added a second target in our bispecific. It's a brain shuttle program that basically allows the therapy to cross the blood-brain barrier in a much more efficient manner. So the goal is then you don't have to give the patients many drugs. A lot more drug actually hit the beta amyloid in the brain and have a better chance of actually helping patients to basically to treat Alzheimer's in these patients. So we're very excited by this. This is one of the most advanced programs in the world in this in this setting. So we're very, very excited by this molecule.
Yeah, and so if you could be maybe more specific. So you have 26 candidates, correct me if I'm wrong on the actual figure. 26 candidates have entered clinical trials. Of the 26, which ones specifically, if any, are in the Alzheimer's direction, if any? If you could give us a timetable too, if at all.
Yeah, so we have one program that we announced in November that have entered into clinical study for Alzheimer's. So that's AK152, and that's a bispecific targeting beta amyloid and a brain shuttle receptor.
Okay, understood. And so that's one of the 20. That's one of the 26. Could you give us maybe more? Because I think you have 7 that are now commercially available. Could you give us a timeline maybe of the 25, the other 20, not all 25, but just give us a sense of what to expect this year?
Sure. We have a lot of potential update for this year for 2026. I think a lot of folks are focused on potential data updates and regulatory updates for Ivonescimab. This is our PD-1 VEGF bispecific that we partner with Summit. So potential approval for Summit side in the U.S., something that I think we're very excited about, as well as additional expansion of indication for Ivonescimab in China. So right now it is approved for second-line lung cancer for folks that have used a small molecule targeted drug called EGFR inhibitors for folks refractory from that. That's approved in China. It is also approved for first-line monotherapy for first-line non-small cell lung cancer. And so hopefully very soon we'll add on to additional indications within non-small cell lung cancer where you use it in combination with chemo. So there's multiple expansion of indications just for Ivonescimab alone. And then our other bispecific for immuno-oncology is cadonilimab. This is both targets are actually immunotherapy, so that's PD-1 CTLA-4. We announced actually just a few months ago, we started 2 global registrational studies. So this product is approved in China, but in the past few months, we actually started 2 global registrational studies, one for second-line liver cancer and the other one for first-line gastric cancer. So these are global studies. With these approval, hopefully everybody around the world can benefit from cadonilimab. And then we have a number of earlier assets that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, big one. It's interesting. I still remember back in 2022 when this deal with Summit really kind of catapulted you guys and Chinese biotech sort of into the main stage over there at the conference. What are conversations like this time around in San Francisco? And are you out to be making any announcements here in terms of out-licensing deals this year?
Well, we're not going to obviously tip our hand there, but I think a lot of the conversation is, I think companies recognize not only our 2 bispecific, again, Ivonescimab and cadonilimab, have really good efficacy, but they have very, very good safety profile. So this is key because we actually talked to quite a number of other companies, right, that want to take their drug and combine it with ours to do combination therapy. So this is where the efficacy again, demonstrated across multiple phase 3 studies is key, because if you think about other parties, right, they don't want negative data. So they actually want to partner with products that are very, very safe and potentially going to be a cornerstone, IO agents in the future. So some of our conversations around that, and you actually saw an announcement from Summit that they're going to partner ivonescimab with GSK's B7H3 antibody drug conjugate. So I think as people see that, our bispecific can potentially replace the current PD-1 treatment as anchor oncology treatments, we're going to see we have a lot of folks that want to take their drug and combine it with us and actually help them to take their product to the clinic as well. So basically, last year it was about us running ahead of everybody else. Now this year is about everybody running fast together.
Which is a good thing. Which is a good thing. And this is not my journalist hat talking. This is me as a human talking. I wish you all the success, and hopefully, of course, you guys nail this for the world's benefit. Can I just ask you a final question as CFO? In terms of financing this year, how much debt or equity do you think you'll need? I'm just looking at your financial statements, and do you think you'll be profitable this year?
No, we're not giving any type of break-even guidance this year. We will continue to invest in our R&D. We have one of the most, I would say, efficient and actually highly productive R&D programs. So we're actually investing into our R&D like a biotech based in California or Boston. So we're going to continue to innovate. We have been very productive. So we're not giving any guidance on breaking even. So our P&L, right, our revenue and operating income is primarily come from China. But our R&D value is global in nature. So again, we're going to continue to invest in R&D, and we're not giving any guidance on break-even and P&L.